Näpeille vai kumpiin?
Voi veljet. Katsokaa miten rupeaa kaikkikaan. Miten rupeaa sen mukin.
Q&A session today at the Softagram office. So anything else about anything that comes to your mind about, okay, you can ask about anything that you like, of course. But if it's a testing question, it would bring us forward. So if you have anything else,
yeah. Do you have any suggestions how we could actually integrate this mindset to our daily work?
Great. Like the daily habits, I love the idea.
Transforming our company so that we don't find any bugs in the production anymore.
Or the customer.
Wow. Well, that's a great goal. Yeah.
small goal there. Starting next week.
Yeah.
It's going to be done by lunchtime next Monday. So what else do you want to know?
Better.
Yeah. But how to implement something like this in your daily work?
Yeah.
It's a great question. And how many of you guys do development? Raise your hand. Okay, so everybody does development here. In small companies, that's what everybody does. We need to develop the product, and quality and testing and stuff like that. It comes second. It's only natural.
Should not.
Yeah, but it's a natural impulse that we need to create the product first in order to have something to test. That's true. Since everybody is doing development work, I read the great book. It's not about development. This book. It's do you know Stephen King? A great author. I read his autobiography. It was called On Writing, and what he said there that his first book was Carrie. Was about the ESP girl who had this ability to destroy things with the force of her mind, stuff like that. So his first book that actually broke out and it turned out to be a huge success. It was something like 20 years into his writing career that he actually succeeded the first time. So what he says that when he writes, it's a creative process, and when he does the writing, he has the equipment and he closes the door and stays in the room alone. And that's the only way to create something new, create the story. And now, if he was at the same time of creating the story, if he was supposed to find the errors in writing, errors in the consistency of the story, find the bugs of the book, he said that none of his books would have been created because there is a conflict. The creative process and the editor, exactly. It's the critical process and the creative process. They rarely work together. And I would say that development, when you write code, it's a creative process. And when you're at the same time, when you try to code, and then you're trying to find the consistency problems in what you create, it's going to produce a huge problem mentally. You do best work by focusing on one thing only. So that's why I say that a great daily or a weekly habit is to make an agreement with the team, for example. I know that it's done in many Scrum teams pretty successfully, is that hey, you come to work on Thursday, you don't do any development on Thursdays, you put on the tester hat in the morning, and you are the critical thinker and the tester today. And only Thursdays you put your attention here and no coding then. And on Tuesday next week you will be the tester. You will be the one who seeks for the inconsistencies. And then you get to put your focus there, and it doesn't intervene with your creative process, and it doesn't intervene with the creative process of others either that much. So that's, for example, a great idea to implement it on a small scale. Did I answer your question at all?
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah.
Cool. So put your focus, it can be half a day, sometimes it can be 3 hours or whatever you like, but to put a focus on the outcome of actually finding problems for example, on this model. It can be something else as well.
Yeah. Without this approach, it usually goes so that You develop, and then you find some bug, and then your kind of mood changes, you're more critical, and then you start finding many bugs. Next few days you just find bugs, you are pretty disappointed. And then
We have been there.
this week,
Yeah, that's how it works.
if you don't kind of force your to now and then to test.
Your mind is biased to find bugs by accident or by conscious choice, and it's up to you what you're going to do this week. And it's really easy. I bought a new Ford Focus. When my kids were born, I got myself a new Ford Focus. It was a dark blue Ford Focus. So I went to Kemi, to Vetteri, my car dealers, and bought the car, and I was like, this is a great new car. It was 1 year old car, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. I have a unique car. And then I drove outside of the parking lot into the first traffic lights, and there it was. A car just like mine, a dark blue Ford Focus model 2011. I was like, hell, somebody else knew to buy the same car as well. And then I started to drive to Oulu, and I saw a total of 8 dark blue Ford Focuses on the road, just within the 1 hour of driving. And I was like, oh my God, has everybody else decided that this is a great car too? But no, of course everybody else has their cars already, but my mind was biased to spot the dark blue Ford Focuses. And that's how I actually discovered my tendency first, and it seems that most of the people have the same tendency as well. It happened by accident, finding the bug by accident and then only seeing bugs after that. That biases your brain. And then your other option is to pre-plan it. Bias the brain on Thursday mornings to do that. Yeah.
And I guess that's something that's a real. I mean, the tester hat thing is a good point, but that's really to bring it actually to the. Let's say we practically have a kind of weekly goals and certain things we want to accomplish every week. So that in these weekly goals you actually, I'm really big fan of using the calendar, but not everybody is. But to have it there on Thursday afternoon, that okay, now I'm gonna be a tester, and then when I demo that on Friday, so at least I found some basic things before I demo.
Yeah, if you have to do demos to clients, for example, it's great to have a tester day first, because then you know the workarounds as well.
That's bad. But we do demo.
But this is if you have it pre-planned in your calendar, it's way much easier when a client sometimes asks, so how do you do testing? Then you take out the calendar. It's here. This is how we do it. We don't have testers, but our developers do testing days. That's the reason is dark blue Ford Focus and stuff like that. You explain it to them. And it's, wow, you have so sophisticated processes. So if you can explain it to others, it gives immediate confidence in you. So it's great.
So you all buy that? Idea. So the next week we're gonna have a.
It of course depends, because your mind might sometimes, like in Thursday morning, it might be in a creative mood.
Exactly. Yeah. There are those mornings that there needs to be some kind of a wiggle room. If you're in a creative mood or just got a few glasses of red wine, and then you feel like now I must break something. So it might, but don't do it in the Thursday mornings. In the Friday evenings would be better. So.
Yeah, but that's. But the thing is that if you really want to get things improve and so don't forget it next week, and okay, we'll do later. But actually next week, let's have it. We have a meeting on Friday, so let's agree on some small spot, because then you will maybe do it next day.
Exactly.
Next week as well.
Yeah. And this is basically the first way to do a test plan. You already have a test plan now. You have a template for doing a test plan. It doesn't need to be a great paper or a document. If you already have an agreement, it's a test plan, and that's a great beginning. It's more than most have. Yeah. Cool.
What kind of, go ahead.
Yeah. In the book you mentioned this dude who started a new company and got taken to HR because he was complaining about all the bugs.
How
do you balance being critical with not hurting your team's feelings?
Wow, that's a great question. I'll give you one tool to actually doing that, because it's easy when you wear the tester hat on Thursday and then you have the discussion with the bugs that you find with the developer. It's really easy to come into a confrontation. So here is what I found. Look at this. This is it. This is my find. It's a huge bug. What can we do? It's a confrontation.
Yeah.
You feel it.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. Whose phone is this? Can I just take it in my hand?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I have to ask the permission because the phone is like really intimate stuff. So if I do it this way instead, I take out the app here, and I'll just flip it this way so we don't see any notification if there is something. Cool. So if we do it this way, so I come to you, so you're the developer, I'm the tester, or vice versa. I come to you like this. So look at this. This is something that I found. We're immediately aligned, and we're like watching the same direction. And so, what do you think about this? So it's that we are doing collaboration immediately. So this is an easy way just to align yourself with the client, you know, the boss or the colleague at office. Just align yourself first with the people you work with, and then start the discussion. The confrontational version is something that really it doesn't happen in this small of a community that often, but when the company grows and the organization grows, it happens way more easily when you really don't personally know each other anymore. And that's something that I actually learned from my friend who ended up in the you know in the talk with the HR. The story was that I might have said in the book that it was a he, but in reality it's a she. I just wanted to anonymize the story a little bit. But yeah, she had been in a great testing course, a 3-day testing course that really transforms your life as a tester. And when she started at the new business, that's the story if you haven't read it yet. So when she started at the new business, she was all out that I'm going to find all the bugs and show everybody else that testing is really important, and she were out confronting everybody. And something like 3 to 4 months into the work, she got an SMS, a text from her boss that, hey, please come to my office at 9:15. Nothing else. It wasn't any emojis in the text or anything else. It was like just like
Plain text.
Yeah, plain text, exactly. Luckily it wasn't the capital letters, but anyways, plain text, no emojis or anything else. And she was like, what? And then she came into the office, and there was the boss, and then there was the luottamushenkilö. I'm not sure. It's the representative of the employees, you know, sitting there, and it was like really dark, emotional situation there, and it was a, you know, it was a discussion that she's been bullying all of her coworkers, and the boss has gotten really a lot of complaints, and everybody was just avoiding her at the office. So that's when she just somehow understood that things need to change. Testing cannot be this. This can't be. Testing is a soft skill. It's a skill of actually persuading other people to make better decisions and fixes. And that skill is deployed by aligning yourself with the people you work with. Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Cool.
Did she stay there?
Yeah, she stayed there. Yeah, she stayed there for a long time then. Yeah, it was like time for her to redeem herself. So it was like, and she's been like hugely successful testing person around the world.
That's great.
Great. Cool.
You might mention this in the book. I haven't read it yet, but what do you think of having one person with the only role of testing, instead of what you said of like sharing the role within all the developer team? What do you think is like a better strategy to manage the testing?
It depends on the end that you have in mind. I always say that you need to begin with the end in mind. I'm sorry, I'm checking the watch just to see that the video is rolling and to stay on schedule, so I don't waste your time any more than we had agreed on before. But anyways, the question is that is it better to have a dedicated testing person or just to revolve the responsibility within the team? So I always say that it's context dependent. It depends on the end that you're trying to meet. For example, if you need a great product support specialist that would answer the calls from your clients and help them find the workarounds, it's pretty wise to have a dedicated person who knows all the workarounds and the bugs and the problems. And that's why in that kind of a situation, for example, it's a great idea to have a dedicated tester. Or if you do a lot of test automation, for example on the UI, it's a great idea to have a dedicated tester to doing that, because trying to get someone new do the same job would need a lot of learning. So if there is a steep curve in learning what the tester does, I think then the dedicated person would be a great choice. But if you don't have the money, the budget, and the time, in the team, if you just plan if you don't have the time and the resources to deploy a dedicated tester, something to begin with is to revolve the responsibility. And even though you have a dedicated tester, sometimes Siri is listening to me for some reason. It says that, I'm sorry, I cannot help you right now. Try in a few moments. Go figure. Yeah. But sometimes it's a great idea to revolve the responsibility because new eyes see new problems. New eyes spot new inconsistencies. And it happens every time when a new tester takes the job for just a brief while. And this is a great idea to deploy testing sometimes too. Just have a coffee table and come to a short session, for example, say 2 hours. Around the table, everybody takes their laptops with them, and then there is one person sitting at the end of the table. And at the end of the table, there is a scribe who takes note of everything that people around the table notice. And you all test 2 hours and make sure that the scribe takes note of the bugs and the findings and the information that you find there, and just talk aloud together there and think about different kinds of missions that you want to achieve in that session. And that session-based testing is something that helps to find a lot of really, really interesting information about the product. So that's an option for doing the responsibility, revolving the responsibility around. So you could do it in a session as well, like 2-hour exploratory testing session. And usually in the session you need one scribe, a team of testers, and maybe one person to facilitate the session. And the facilitator is someone who, for example, in the beginning has pre-designed a couple of missions. So here's what we're trying to do. And the first mission might, for example, be, hey, let's think everybody here on the table, you are a new user and you need to install our application, or you need to do the onboarding process. Let's see what you can find there. Here are the principles. Let's start. And then you have half an hour and everybody tries to do that and tries to find the problems within the first 15 minutes of the experience. Then there might be a different session. Okay, next half an hour, let's grab a second cup of coffee. Next half an hour, let's see what the user account management. So if you change something there, what might go wrong? That's a great mission, for example. And then you spend 30 minutes on that one, and the scribe takes notes, screenshots, maybe even screen capture videos of the bugs. It's a great way to do it. It's like session-based exploring. Yeah. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, well, basically each way has its own benefits and are good for certain situations.
Yeah, so that's why I always say that thinking about how should we do testing now is that you need to always think that what do we need as an outcome? This is a great question. Do we need evidence to back up our contracts, for example, or legal requirements? Sometimes you need to produce evidence in testing. Sometimes you just need to find new problems that would prevent the onboarding process of your product. So what do you need as the outcome? And then you decide on the way of doing it. How should we do it this time, this week, this month? Yeah.
In a way, the planning for the testing is needed really in a big scale as well, and how to find the best ways.
Yeah. And that's the beginning with the end in mind is a great way. It's the beginnings of your test plan. You don't need exhaustive test plans and documentations and stuff like that. You might do a great job with the flip chart. Here's the plan, here's how we're going to do it, and you just draw it down. We need these outcomes, this is the time that we have, and this is what we'll do.
You have these really good these mindset mistakes, or what is that? How do you?
Yeah, I call them mindset mistakes about testing. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, but then how I think is that, I mean, is there a tester or is there a time for testing, but also the mindset of kind of owning the product and every single, that you don't throw that out.
Yeah.
Let's say that you do some improvement for one feature. You still, ideally, you would kind of own, okay, this is our company, I want to do this really well, I need to understand how the user does it. So when you do it yourself, you not really should test and I mean, put the test that for your own. I mean, you should test first your own stuff. Is that correct thinking, or is that wrong that somebody else should? I mean, somebody else should also test it, but the mindset, you cannot outsource the quality to somebody else, even if you are not tester.
I think that this is an individual trait, but I hear you talking about like this internal quality standard of my work. So do I feel like when I go back home after the day of work, do I feel like that I've done the best I can? And that's the internal quality standard of everybody. Everybody has a different standard there. But for some people it just might be enough that you've written the code and made the commit. Mm-hmm. For other people it might be that you've written the code, made the commit and just punch in some lines and comments to the Jira, for example, and then you've actually spent the last half an hour of your day by checking if there is something wrong. And that might be your quality standard. And it's the thing that what's yours and what could you do to improve your internal standard is the question. Because if you manage to improve your internal standard, then you become immediately more valuable to the people you work with, clients, bosses, and colleagues. So I'm not sure if I'm discussing the same topic here.
Yeah, you're putting it there.
Yeah, but the internal quality standard it's great. You know, I've been hitting the gym like this summer a lot because I really want to win. We have this pull-up challenge at our office before Christmas. I want to beat the previous record this time. So I've been really hitting the gym now hard, even though I'm not that much of a gym going guy, but now I have a really ambitious goal. I want to beat everybody else, like kick their ass, like good. So when I go to the gym and I do my exercise, if I leave without having broken any sweat, will I be satisfied with the exercise? Most likely not. I will be disappointed at myself. So when I sweat a lot and smell like a pig after my exercise, then it's been a great exercise and I'm really satisfied. It was a great day of work. And that's what I think about as an internal quality standard as well. When I do a day of testing, for example, do I feel like that at 4 p.m. when I leave? Do I feel like that it's been a great exercise? If I don't, what should I implement more into my day that I would actually feel satisfied at the day? Just for myself, since I'm an artist anyways, how could I feel more fulfilled? And that's something that you need to work on yourself and with sometimes a psychiatrist or something like that. But anyways, yeah. I've been doing that too, so.
Would it be better to have the testing process being done by someone not actually involved in the development of the product?
Someone from outside?
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, yeah, because for example, if you're trying to develop an application for a specific client, sometimes it would be a great idea to have someone from clients to do the testing, because they actually know what they need and they know what the average working day for that client looks like and what are the functionalities. The only problem is that mostly the clients have no testers and have no time for doing that. And the clients assume that you already do a great job in delivering great quality products. So that's a problem. But it is possible to do that with the client too. For example, doing Scrum development, you might have some kind of demo sessions with the clients. Why not arrange these testing sessions around the table with the client? You have a couple of your developers doing testing and a couple of clients, people doing the testing, and you give them pizzas and you have a sauna in the evening. You have a great night and you've done something really beneficial. So it's a great idea to involve the client in the testing sessions too. So yeah, I lose my skill of speaking English obviously. Cool. I think we are done with an hour. So if you still have, I think we have room for one question more.
The best way to have no more questions.
Yeah, yeah, I know. That's. I was just suggesting that maybe we should just start wrapping up the show.
Maybe I can say something.
Go ahead.
Maybe it is not a question, but yeah, maybe I can ask in the end that is it true? So then it's question. So
is it true? Yeah.
So I first start with this quality standard that you mentioned.
Yeah.
So people have different quality standards, and I think I have been kind of improving my standards in the recent years. From that situation where I just committed huge amount of changes all the time and then skipped testing in many cases and kind of wishful thinking that it should work.
Yeah.
So, but when you increase this responsibility, that the developers actually also are involved into the production environments and deployments and to the end, very close to the customers. And so when you have this sort of full responsibility for developers of their features, that shift will increase the quality standards for everybody.
Yeah, it's like everybody sees each other.
It's by the accident. When you see that your code is not working in the production very closely, and then you start kind of changing your habits, daily habits in development.
That's true. That's true. Visibility into each other's work is a great way to build some kind of an accountability. That's why I love, for example, the morning scrums. Just have a cup of coffee, tell what you did yesterday, and tell what you're going to do today. It's a great habit. Just 5 or 10 minutes, everybody has their turns. It creates visibility immediately. It has been like proven, for example, in surgical operations, that because in big hospitals the operations might be conducted with teams who are strangers to each other, and there is way less likelihood of creating some kind of accidents in the surgical operations when before the show starts everybody shakes hands and says that, hey, my name is Antti and my responsibility is the anesthesia, and you say that, hi, my name is da da da, and my responsibility is to make sure that the environment is clean, and everybody states their responsibility and gets to know each other, and immediately the standard rises. So
that's cool.
Cool. It was a great addition to the show. Yeah. Hey, thank you guys. It was a great. I enjoyed myself here. I hope you enjoyed it too. So, thanks for the moment with you guys. And if you ever need support with any kind of questions about testing, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can find me with @needtobeta. That's my after name. Like with that handle on basically any social media. And there's the book. You'll find me on LinkedIn, and just send me a message or text me or anything else like that. I'll help you with any issues you have on testing. Cool. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi guys, my name is Antti. Nice to meet you all. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Put your hands up and a gentle high five to the somebody next to you. So. So we're going to be talking about software testing. How many of you guys do testing sometimes? Yeah, everybody does a little. Well, have you done?
No, I am a programmer.
You're a programmer, yeah.
You still test, right?
I still test the programs, but I don't.
That's true.
The test.
So basically, but you write the code and you try what happens then.
No, I try.
You just write the code and commit it. I'm sorry.
I have tried what they have wrote.
Ah, okay, that's cool. Yeah. Okay, but you've been testing a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So what is testing to you guys? It's a Q&A and I'm asking questions from you guys.
Yeah.
So what's testing? How do you observe? What's testing to you? Making sure that it works. That's a great beginning, exactly, yeah. Is there something else?
What doesn't work? If it doesn't.
Yeah, it's the opposite. It's that, like the yin and yang or something like that, so it's the opposite of it. Making sure that things work and at the same time
Testing how it gets broken.
Finding out the places where it might still break. And that's great. Those are the two, like, I say they're the opposing forces of software testing. So since the movie is now like like on the way. I have to check, yeah, audio is perfect, everything's going fine. I do these recordings because anyways, if we discuss about software testing, sometimes every now and then there is some interesting topics that I might want to just use on YouTube or Instagram. So that's why like evangelizing the software testing and quality in general. So that's why I do the recordings and sometimes I might use them, sometimes I might not. Is there somebody who's uncomfortable if you happen to appear on video? Raise your hand now if you feel uncomfortable about it. Yeah. You might be, yeah. That's great, yeah. I think like the angles make sure that you're not going to appear there. But anyways, if your voice is there on some place, I'll make sure that it's edited out. I only have the microphone here, so probably nobody will hear your voice anyway. So I have to, if you have questions, I have to repeat them out loud so I can get them on audio as well. Cool. So, software testing. What else is there? What's testing about? Making sure that things work, finding out the things that don't work. Is there something else?
Finding out that nothing broke.
That nothing broke, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Performance?
Exactly, yeah, that's a great example of what testing can be about. Because everything might work perfectly, like the functionality works, what you're trying to achieve. But there might be a situation where it takes 5 seconds instead of 4. You know, it might take 900 milliseconds when it should take only 100 milliseconds. And why is it important?
I say some kind of user experience.
Oh, that's great. That's a great example. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Black Friday. Black Friday is coming. It always like surprises the e-commerce businesses because you know
Cyber Monday after that.
Yeah, Cyber Mondays after that, exactly. But yeah, for example, last year I read the news on Iltalehti and Ilta-Sanomat, you know, and Helsingin Sanomat, and they were like interviewing the IT managers of Gigantti and Verkkokauppa, and what happened at your online store? You know, everybody stormed in to buy the Black Friday deals, but your online store was down, it didn't work. And they said that, well, it never happened before to us like this, it was a surprise. Yeah, is it a surprise when people want to buy something on a Black Friday? It's not. Yeah, exactly, it's a user experience. Sometimes they might not even get what they wanted. But there is another point of view as well. If you go looking for studies, for example, on the performance, Google has like, you know, combines lots of analytics on software products, and they have, for example, deducted that if an app or a page takes more than 3 seconds to load, 53% of the users will abandon it immediately. So they don't even want to wait for 3 seconds. So it's crazy. 53 potential clients are leaving you already when it just loads. What else? What else is there in testing?
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah, there is actually a small conflict in testing because when we hunt for the bugs or when we try to create evidence that things work, we should be generating peace of mind to our clients, our colleagues, and bosses. Now, what happens when you go out and find a huge, hairy showstopper bug, something that will destroy everything and make galaxies explode or something like that? What happens to the peace of mind of the people you try to serve?
No.
You destroy it. Their peace of mind is destroyed. So that's the deal. Testing should be generating peace of mind, and at the same time, if you do it well, you tend to destroy the peace of mind. So there are contradictions, making sure that things work, finding out the things where it doesn't work. Cool. Okay, what else?
It can also work as a documentation on how it should work if you write it like a behavior.
Yeah, exactly. It might Can you repeat it?
Like, from my point of view, if there's no documentation, I go read the test. It tells me what the test should do.
Yeah.
And I read what there's put in the test, and I see the results. So I then like know what should happen when these things happen.
Yeah.
Tells me like a story.
Yeah, it tells you a story of how it should be working or what to expect and what to see. Sometimes testing can be used to create the user manual, for example. That's a great way to document what you test, create the user manual at the same time, because that way the user manual will be in alignment with how the software actually works. Don't do the user manual based on your requirements or specification, do the user manual based on the testing instead. Yeah, a lot less work in changing the manual later on. Yeah, yeah, that's a great point of view. Yeah. What else?
Predicting how well this software will actually meet up with the expectations of end users.
Yeah, predicting how well the product will meet the expectations of the customers, the clients. You know, every product aims at serving somebody with something. Am I right?
Yeah.
So when we test, we create information that will let us predict or guess, like have a more educated guess on how it will actually meet the needs of the people we serve. I'm just spitting probably on you because you're sitting there, so I'm sorry. Yeah, it's called the spit distance, I guess. Yeah. But anyways, yeah, there are lots of stuff to testing. So there is one thing that I would love to share with you guys. It's a short story, I guess. So how I see the testing and why testing is important to me today. I've been doing involved in software testing for something like 16 years already. And why it's important to me today is that the reason is pretty simple. I'm this little bit of a nerdy, geeky guy since I'm an engineer. And some time ago, I went out and got myself the Philips Hue smart lights for my home. Do you know the smart lights? They're like ambient lighting, and I get sexy moods at my home, and inspiring, and wake up lights and stuff like that. So I got myself the Philips Hue smart lights. And the second morning when I had just installed them, the next morning I wake up and I roll over to the side of my bed, and there is my cell phone waiting there on the nightstand, and I say to my phone that hey S, it's an iPhone, so it has the voice assistant called the Siri. So I tell my cell phone that hey S, good morning, and then she wakes up and says good morning Antti. Okay, and what she then does is that she turns on the wake up lights at my home, and then she knows to turn on the coffee brewer as well. So when I snooze, I get to wake up to the fresh scent of coffee after 10 minutes. So it was like an amazing feeling. I was like, yeah, this is what the software should do. This is great. And since I'm a nerdy and geeky guy, I just love Marvel universe, Marvel superheroes. Do you know who is Tony Stark? Yeah, everybody knows him in engineering, yeah. He's the Iron Man, and I immediately felt like I was the Iron Man and this is my Jarvis, this is on the nightstand. Okay, 3 nights pass, and on the fourth morning I wake up again and I roll over to my side of my bed and I say, hey Jarvis, good morning. I'm all excited and nothing happens. And I'm like, hey Jarvis, good morning, and still nothing happens. All pissed off, I storm out of my bed and I slam on the coffee brewer there, and then I have to manually turn on every single light at my apartment. Or actually I need to turn it off and on again, so it's double the work. I'm really, really pissed off at my Jarvis. It didn't work, it failed me. Then all of a sudden I find myself sitting in my coffee table like this. I'm not sure if it goes in the video. I have my cell phone in the hand, and what I'm doing, I find myself writing this is actually this is not my proudest moment. It's a little bit of embarrassing. Exactly. I find myself there like writing a 1-star review on the Philips Hue smart lights. You suck. Okay, and then I calm down a little bit and I get my fresh coffee then in a few minutes, and then the engineer in me, the software tester in me, starts to think. And then what occurs to me is that today people walk around with internet in their fingertips, 24/7. All the time people have access to their internet, and I think it's something like 4.3 billion people have an access to the internet already. So it's huge amounts of people around the world. And what it means is that no amount of money spent on marketing or advertising, or no amount of money spent on trying to create the business by the traditional means, it never can cover up the pain of a bad product anymore. And if you don't believe me, you can just go online and search for online reviews on any software or a product or a service, and you'll get the point. I actually, before I came here, I went online and typed in Google like Softagram reviews. And actually you had pretty good reviews, so that was great. So it was like 4.5 stars out of 5. It was great, yeah. And nothing 1 star, no 1-star reviews that you suck. So it was like pretty good. So it's a great situation. So what my take here is that why testing? So testing today, for me, it's a tool to find the problems and the bottlenecks, and to be able to create a success story, to be able to create a product or a service that has a potential of making the praise rain on you online, and create the reputation that you deserve. So I hunt for the bugs, not to assure you that the product is great, or maybe not even to find the problems, what still might break. My ultimate outcome today is just to make the world a happier place, because everybody's just happier when software works. So that's why I do testing. And with this kind of situation, internet at their fingertips, people, no amount of money put on the marketing or advertising, it can cover up the pain of a bad product. So what can a business do in this kind of a situation? So there are only 2 ways to do it. They can actually create something that's really interesting in the beginning, take the money and just leave. Or the other option is to play the long game, and create the product that will consistently meet the needs of who you try to serve. And the key to building great business, and actually the key to find new clients, key to building revenue. The revenue is the money that will pay your salary every month. The key to creating the revenue is to actually being able to build great quality products in the future. And you can stop me. I tend to get carried away. If you might notice that when Antti starts to talk, it's spitting all over the place, and he starts to sweat and stuff like. Yeah, it's my like the smartwatch says that I've already done the exercise goal of the day. So yeah, but yeah, I've been an entrepreneur in software testing for something like it's 14 years now. So over the time, I've had the privilege to meet over 2,200 people in one-to-one discussions about what makes software great. And I found that there is one single principle that to me seems to be the deciding factor between the successes and the failures. And that simple principle I would love to share with you guys. And that's the reason why I asked, what's the testing about from your point of view? So when you feel like you're testing, what are you trying to look for? What do you specifically try to find? So if you're trying to, for example, I'll help you a little bit. If you try to find bugs, what are you searching for with your eyes and your experience and your feelings? What are you searching for specifically? Can you describe it?
Tracebacks.
I'm sorry?
Tracebacks.
So can you explain?
The tracebacks.
Kind of error messages.
Error messages, yeah. Yeah, totally, yeah. Yeah, error messages. Well, that's a great example. Can there be an error without an error message?
Yeah.
So you look for something more, but that's one detail out of the whole equation. So you look for something more, yeah?
I think what Ville said about the expectation. If I'm testing the product, software product, so that does it do what is expected many times, and then of course you have this other way, this hunting mind that how about if I do something, what is does it still work?
Yeah.
But I think this is something.
So you observe how it behaves, this, and then you think about what you would expect.
Yeah. Does it actually do what I expect? Fast enough, nicely.
Like this. Okay. And your expectations might not meet the behavior, or the behavior might not meet the expectations. Am I right?
Yeah.
You don't need to do that because basically if I test that, I am running and thinking about how is my client. I am not a programmer, I am a designer.
Exactly.
So I think is how it should work and also is it easy to use it.
Yeah, exactly. So how would your client expect it to work?
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is so client might expect different things. Am I right? Yeah,
Like
that's
the
cool.
mindset. What you
Exactly. So are there different reference points? Your expectations or the client's expectations might be something. Is there something else?
Compatibility with the old versions.
Compatibility, exactly. So it's the history of your product, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Like this? Okay. What else? Last year, it was a crazy year for security testers. The GDPR. Does it comply? Does the software comply with the GDPR regulations? So there might be regulations. Cool. Different reference points that we compare.
Business goal?
I'm sorry?
Business goal. What we are trying to achieve with that product.
It's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
The purpose of the product.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Purpose of the product. So we have lots of different stuff. I draw it as a cloud. I should probably use a different kind of a color. It's going to be a huge mess when I draw something when I try to talk. I lose my ability to write. But try to bear with me, guys. So this is a cloud of expectations and different reference points. And this is really simple. Anybody can test and anybody can find the problems that contribute to the quality. Why is it? The reason is really, really simple. The quality it's an experience that people have. It's a feeling. I feel that it's great quality. There might be some measurable, metrics, for example, the performance, does it meet the requirements, the actual behavior. And in the end, it's all comes back to the reference points that I'm trying to here explain. So quality it's an experience, it's mostly a feeling that there is a mismatch somewhere. Something doesn't quite add up. And I was, since I've been doing the video blog like few years already, last winter, I went out and my car was at the car dealers just to get, some kind of, what is the vuosihuolto? What is it?
Service?
Yeah, it was being service, like annual service. Yeah. So that was there, and I had to walk something like 1 kilometer to the shop. And I left the office and took out my phone, and it was like raining. What's räntä in English? Slush. It was raining slush, you know, like water and you know, it's one of the most annoying things I can imagine in Finland, the slush. Not the conference or the event, but you know, when it rains in your face and you try to do a video or something like that. I started the video, damn, it's cold outside. And then, you know, it's slush. So how cold can it be?
Few degrees minus. Yeah.
Few degrees, yeah, around 0, exactly. And then it occurred to me that I had just read from the news that in Siberia it's something like minus 60 degrees at the moment. So is it cold here in Finland now? No, compared to Siberia. My friend posted on Instagram that he was at Tenerife, you know, enjoying his life, drinking something like mojitos and stuff like that, and like 25 degrees there. So is it cold compared to that? Yeah. It's really cold for me, and it really pisses me off to endure the slush when he's, you know, drinking the slush. Exactly. So it's always a matter of comparison. I compare my experience to reference points from elsewhere. And that's what the quality in the end is. The experience is that how I observe the software behaving, it meets my expectations as the user, for example. So it's two reference points that are aligned. Or if there is a problem, if there is a bug, for example, something goes wrong and you don't see an error message, or you don't get the traceback. So there is a mismatch. You would expect to have a traceback, but nothing happens. There is a mismatch between the two reference points. And that's what the quality is. It's a consistency between two different reference points. It might be consistency between the behavior of the software today and its history. Okay? It might be that there is a mismatch in the consistency between the behavior and the GDPR regulations. There might be a mismatch between the behavior and what the client actually in the beginning what they wanted. There's always a mismatch, and then it's a cue for you that it might be a bug, it might be a problem, it might be something that we need to fix in order to create the 5-star review experience. And I have a collection like five simple ideas, 5 simple consistency principles that I would love to share just quickly with you guys. Wow, time is flying. It's already 25 minutes into the... It seems not to be a Q&A. I'm sorry, guys.
There's a story time and then there's a Q&A.
Yeah, okay. We'll go into the Q&A soon if you have any questions after this. But anyways, I'll try to be brief. So this is if you ever test or try to think like a tester, these are 5 simple principles that you can take on the table and then start working from there. You don't need to be a tester, you don't need to have test cases or anything, test automation or anything. Just start using and try to keep these 5 principles in mind. I say that these are consistency principles. So always when you start, you ask, is it consistent with something? So it's not that, it's damn, it's cold outside here, I always need to ask compared to what. So when I use the software, I ask, I observe the behavior here. If I compare the behavior to the history of my product, is it consistent? If it's not, then it's something that I might need to dig into deeper. So the first principle is history. I'm not sure if you have ever used the Adobe Photoshop. Or have you heard of it? Who has? Yeah, thank you guys. With the Photoshop, they had something like in the beginning of the story. When professionals use Photoshop, they probably never use the keyboard shortcuts. They use the keyboard shortcut every time, exactly. Yeah, fist bump there, you were like, what? They use it every time. So yeah, that's the point. With something like between the versions 3 and 4 at the Adobe, they decided that, yeah, we have a great new way of using the keyboard shortcuts. We'll update the map. of keyboard shortcuts. So it's going to be totally new way of using the Photoshop. And what does it do with the consistency of all of the existing users when they update from 3 to 4? The consistency breaks. Yeah. And that's like huge storm of 1-star review, you suck! Yeah. Exactly. So the history, consistency between the product now and its history, it's really crucial in creating the experience that people call quality. Second thing here, second item on the list is image. So it's the image that you're trying to create with the product, right? Trying to create with the marketing of it, trying to create with the sales. You know, if you check your company's website and see what they promise on the website, does the product actually meet the requirement? Does the product meet the promises? Yeah, kindish, exactly. So there is an inconsistency between the behavior and the promises. Of course, when you're a startup, you need to little bit do the over-promising, but at the same time, if you over-promise too much and you under-deliver consistently, it's bound to produce those 1-star reviews. It's bound to impact the business later on. And that's why at some point of the history after the dot-com bubbles and stuff like that, it became really popular to just publish beta versions of your software. Because it creates consistency with the public image and the behavior more in line when you have a beta version out. So hey, it's a beta and we're still creating and we're still working on it, but thanks for your feedback, man. So the image, what your sales promises and how it behaves. Or what your sales promises and what, you know, what the clients expect. Two different reference points. Okay. Third one is the purpose, the outcome, the goal, you know, what you already mentioned. For example, you know, Microsoft Word. What's its purpose?
Easy to write document.
Yeah, but basically writing and sharing what you write. So if there was to be a problem with printing or sharing the document, if there was to be a problem, there is a conflict between its ultimate purpose and the behavior. But on the other hand, if there was just a bug on the word count, it doesn't break the consistency with the ultimate. The ultimate purpose of the word is not to count words. It's to actually use it for writing and sharing. So see, the purpose of the product, it's really, always keep it in mind and see if something breaks the consistency of its, you know, the behavior and the purpose. Okay, fourth one is the purpose.
It was already.
Shit! You know, I just...
The product, right?
It's the product. You've been reading the book. Exactly. Exactly. So, if your product ends up crashing or ends up in an error situation, is there a traceback? Is there a feedback to the client as well? Or, you know, client would expect there to be some kind of an error. So what went wrong? What happened? Client would expect to see something. So it's a consistency. The product behaves in a way and doesn't behave in a. It's not aligned. And I'll give you a few more, like few better examples. This is great. This is great. It's about Microsoft products, obviously. So, figures out I'm an Apple guy, so it's easy to use Microsoft as an example here. With the Microsoft Office products, what happens when you use a keyboard shortcut, Control F in Word? Exactly, the find and replace dialog pops up. So what happens when you use the Control F shortcut in Excel?
Find.
Yeah, exactly. It's the find and replace dialog all over again. It's consistent, isn't it? That's what you would expect to happen. So what happens when you use the Control F keyboard shortcut in Outlook?
Forward.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. So what the hell, man? What the hell, Microsoft? it's forwarding the message that I'm just like have highlighted there. So it's really, really strange. And I wouldn't expect that to happen as a user. So that breaks the consistency within the family of Microsoft Office products. And that's something that I'm trying to consciously look for when I test. Something that's inconsistent inside the product itself. In the Outlook, when you have a message highlighted, it forwards it. But I think when you have the actual content of the message highlighted, it does the find. So it's actually inconsistent inside Outlook only, but it's inconsistent within the family of products as well. So now let's think about a situation where you're developing a new state-of-the-art word processor. It's going to be totally new. It's going to be wiping the table with words and Google Docs and Apple Pages. So it's going to be totally new. What should a Control F do in your product?
Find.
Yeah, it should do the find as well, unless you have a really, really great reason for not doing it. So it should be consistent with the rival products as well. Cool. So the last one here, it's simple. It's the expectations. And this might be the expectations of law. You might have a contract with another company. It might give you some kind of an expectation. Sometimes it would be a great idea just to take the contract and start to test and see if the product matches what we've agreed. I'm not sure if you ever see the contracts, but it's interesting. Expectations, the help file, the manual, user manual of a software. Is the behavior consistent with the manual? Those are the expectations. Or the expectations of your client. Have you ever sat down with the client and talked about what they expect, what they need, what they want and desire, and what kind of great dreams they have about this awesome product? So does it meet their expectations? And of course you are one of the reference points too. Does it meet your expectations? I was like, I'm sure, has any of you guys been in Nokia projects before? Like back when they actually did a lot of developments here in Oulu. So I had the opportunity to observe the Ovi project. The Ovi was like iCloud. They had, sync up your contacts and calendar to the cloud and, your files and music and stuff like that. It was curious to observe the project from, a little bit from the side, because basically none of the developers used the Ovi product themselves because it sucked. So there was a mismatch, between what they did and what they promised the customers. And, it's the expectation of you as well that really, it has a huge impact. So history, image, purpose, product, and expectations. If you don't have to be a tester, but if you ever want to start contributing something beneficial towards the quality, start using your product and start to find inconsistency in one of these 5 categories and you'll get far. Cool. So that's the thing that I pre-planned for you guys today. So it's the monologue is over now. Oh my God, it's 36 minutes. I wasted your time a lot. I'm not sure if it's wasted, but yeah.
Can you ask me why you choose history as the first principle to navigate?
yeah, it's not the priority, because I always say that. Do you want the real reason? This is it's an acronym that sucks a lot, but in Finnish it's historia, imago, tuote, tarkoitus, odotukset. It's hitto. So that's why it originally was created. It's easy to remember. So that was the reason. A great question. There is no priority with this, because the priority is always context dependent. That's why I always say that when you begin, you need to begin with the end in mind. What are you trying to achieve? What are the goals?
Is this purpose and expectation overlapping?
Yeah, they all are overlapping, of course. All of these, if you think about user expectations, for example, users base their expectation on what they were promised, what they saw in the previous versions or in the history, what they see in rival products. Most of the expectations basically are based on these. But then there are the GDPRs and the law that basically isn't here. Contracts are not here in the fore. So So that's why I have it here, that you don't just forget the GDPR and the contracts and the law, for example. But it was a great question, thank you. Yeah. Cool.